Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show the difference between MagicFix and MagicBlock. So let's get started. I'm taking a simple cube, let's just position it onto the center. Now I'm going to create a second cube. I've already sized this to be half the size as the previous, and I'm actually going, just to make it look nice, I'm going to position it in the center of the first bigger cube. So make it just aligning it to the center. Okay. Now if you look into the wireframe mode, you'll see we have basically two cubes. This is perfectly positioned inside one another and everything looks okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge them into one object. Going to utilities and I'm going to use merge objects. So now this becomes one object because you can only use MagicFix or MagicBlocks on a single object. But I'm not done yet. I'm going to actually add some details to this. I'm going to go to the add details tool and I'm going to add, I can add, basically drag a kind of add a line over here and split this way, or I can add a vertex. So let's just undo this, add a vertex just for this point illustration purpose, and add a vertex over here. Okay, and I'm going to confirm it, and now I'm going to go to the vertex mode and I'm going to select the vertex I've just added, and I'm going to go to the move tool, and I know the size of this is 100. So I want to make it nicely proportional, a nice slope. So I'm going to make 150, add it 150, and we get this nice slope over here. So far so good. If we look at the wireframe mode, everything looks perfectly fine. We just added this nice slope. Now, this is actually a problem we see over here, because if you're going to slice this, you will end up having, because this is a volume, then you have an other volume inside. So you may have infill that it's going to infill it if you choose infill or don't choose infill. But if you have a volume inside, this will kind of interrupt the infill. It's printing something differently. And SelfCAD slides wouldn't have an issue with that, but some others may have an issue. This other use case is also which very complex objects that you do a lot of transformations, sculpting, and so on, that you may end up breaking the object self-intersecting, which means, for example, this pushes in and comes out from the other side, or you may have small holes, or a lot of other issues that kind of classified as non-manifold issues. So this is where MagicFix comes in. But MagicFix and MagicBlocks is actually very similar, and they have some settings, and this is what I'm going to show you now. And you see why I use this particular shape as well to show it. So if I go to MagicFix first, there's an idea we have sharp. This means that we want to actually keep the sharp edges. So let's see if I'm going to preview this, and this actually looks okay. Over here, it looks like it created a small dent over here, a small hole, which is actually quite interesting why I did it. So let me add a little more sharpness, see? Because the way this looks, actually, this works with the sides. It's voxels. If you see over here, we have over here rectangles. Think about, we have very small cubes and kind of like Legos, and it marches through Legos, one layer, the entire layer, second layer, and based on this it connects. If it ends up having a box, let's say in this pitch, it was like in between very little small boxes, this wouldn't actually work. But this actually may create an issue unless we remove, we add more details, or we remove disconnected, and you'll see in a minute. Let me first finalize this and show you something. So this actually rebuilt this object, but it didn't really solve the issue that we have. The box is still inside. And the reason is because, as I said, in this particular case, it's still printable. It's not like you have to remove it, it's still printable. But if you decide you don't want that, so there's actually an option here in advanced settings where you can remove disconnected. If you choose to remove disconnected, now let's take the same settings we did over here. And in this case, let's see, if we go over here, you actually see the inside box has been removed. It has been done because all of these small boxes created these triangles, so it's hard to see. So let's go resolution 0. I'm going to reduce it to 0, and as you can see, we are back to the basic cube I started with, which is basically just 9 polygons, the minimum that you can do with something like this. So this is basically what MagicFix is doing on a sharp edges. If you're going to go smooth, this is what the default remesh would be in most applications. It will do the same idea, but as you can see, I would need a much higher resolution because this kind of tries to smooth between corners, and this kind of breaks it. I need to increase it, let's say, to 7. It will take more time. In this case, this will work, but if you have more complex objects, you may have certain cases where this will actually be broken. So let's see now if I'm doing smooth. I have 20 polygons. I bet if I do resolution 0, this probably wouldn't be able to go back to 9. You see, it went back to 14. And the reason is because it's hard to see because it's so smooth, but there is actually a lot of small details that has been added in certain places that you cannot do it. So this is basically the difference between sharp and smooth. Now, if you go to MagicBlocks, on the other hand, it's the same techniques. You have the depth, it's still the size of the boxes, and you still have the remove disconnected, so you can remove the inside, like in this case. You have scale, actually, let's even reduce it. That's another way of applying certain sensitivity of how big the thing should be. And they have the same setting, by the way, in MagicFix. But now you have over here is this will not smooth the relationship. So you see there's no setting between sharp and smooth, because the entire thing sharp and smooth is when you create voxels. That's actually how this algorithm works. It creates voxels, and in the MagicFix, it will create a connection between this and this one. When it's sharp, it will try to make a sharp connection, which actually did it very nicely, as you saw in the previous example. When it's smooth, it will kind of make it a rounded, smooth connection between them. In this case, it could be just a chamfered kind of edge or something like that. But if you look over here, if I'm going to, let's say, reduce it this way, it has, because the voxel size are very big. If you go more, let's say like 7, take a little more time, but look how nice this is. It creates something like this. And over here, it didn't create anything because these voxels actually line up one on top of the other, so there's no offset. So the only difference makes when you have some smooth edges. And if I'm going to finalize this, look how many faces we got, 82,000. I can still do resolution 0 and bring it down by a lot. This will bring it down to 196 from 82,000. That's really significant, but you still keep this over here. So in short, MagicFix is made to fix objects. MagicBlocks is made to kind of give you a different, for design structure. You can have anything with angles and kind of make them into voxels and blocks. That's basically what it is. In most cases, you would want to use MagicFix as remove duplicates. The reason we don't have that remove duplicates is sometimes you have very complex objects, and remove disconnected, I'm sorry. You have very, very complex objects, and if you remove disconnected, it will destroy it. You may be better off leaving them and kind of patch it yourself and try to merge it and work on it a few times to make sure the object gets fully printable, but remove disconnected will just destroy it. So we have that option. But that's basically it. Just a side note, when you go to sculpting, you also have something called remesh, which is very similar, but over there it will always remove the disconnected automatically. And it's the same tactic, it's just an old algorithm that we used, has less flexibility. Maybe eventually we'll replace the remesh and sculpting as well, but for now that's has still the old functionality. And this is rebuilt. The most thing that we've recently rebuilt with the MagicFix is to keep smooth, because if you want to rebuild objects, you want to actually keep it sharp. I mean, the sharp edges, that's something really important. So that's basically it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you want me to explain anything else. Thank you.